Welcome back, or if you're new here, I'm very excited to share these homemade rye blueberry muffins with you. If you've always been concerned about whole grain muffins because you're worried that they're going to be dry and crumbly and tasteless, let these prove you wrong. Now we start by mixing together white whole wheat flour and rye flour. I add in the white whole wheat flour just to add a little bit more gluten to it. It helps with the structure of it. I also use dark rye flour because I mill my own flour, but you can use light or medium if you want. Now, once those are mixed together, we're going to mix together our wet ingredients. Now, you're going to see that I used a blend of oil and butter. I love the oil because it adds moisture to the muffins. I love the butter, of course, because of the flavor. So mix this together with your sugar, and once that's mixed together, one thing and one tip that I have is I always like to mix together my eggs first. These are at room temperature, mix them together. It just makes it so much easier to incorporate if they're already mixed. And then you'll add in your vanilla, of course, for it to enhance the flavor. Mix this together. You want it to come together and be very smooth. And then at this point in the recipe, after the eggs are mixed in, you want to be careful about how much you mix your batter at this point. So once these are mixed together, we're going to add in our dry ingredients and mix them. Again, you're only going to want to just hydrate and incorporate that flour. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfectly smooth. You can have a few little clumps in there, tiny clumps. I'm not talking about big ones, tiny clumps. Just being careful not to overmix it. And then at this point also I add in my milk, mix that in together. And then last up is our blueberries. I prefer fresh blueberries. You can also use frozen, but of course they're going to bleed no matter what you do. Even if you coat them in flour, even if you do all the things, they still bleed a little bit. So I do try to make these in season. Mix in your blueberries, and once they're mixed together, now rye flour is one of those flours that absorbs a lot of moisture. So you can see the batter is a little bit wetter than what I normally use for my bakery style muffins. I like to have a stiffer batter, but with this one you don't want to, just because that rye flour does absorb so much moisture. So you're going to pour these into your prepared muffin pans. Of course, the oven is piping hot at this point because they have to go into a hot oven to get that oven spring. And then I like to fill these at least 3/4 the way full. So I go through with my portion scoop. I add back in when I need to. And then the last step, you don't have to do this, but I like to do it. I like to add a little bit of raw sugar on top. That's just for crunchiness, of course, after they're baked. Bake these, and I like to underbake them just a tiny bit. That way, as it does the carryover baking, once you remove it from the oven, they're baked perfectly. So this is the finished product here. Of course, you can see that these muffins are moist. They're delicious, and if I could, I would love to share one of these with you. So of course, don't forget to subscribe, and if you try this recipe, I would love to hear how it went for you.